Hi, I'm David John Kelly.
Hi, I'm Roger Shiberis.
And we're going to talk about our little film, Sacrament. So, Sacrament, how did it all start? It started back in, as I recall it, in August of 2011.
Mm-hmm. In an acting class that Dave and I do together, which we've done for about six or so years now.
Yeah, together. That's how we met.
And I came up to him with an idea. I needed a new piece for my show reel, for my acting reel, and I approached Dave because we hadn't really worked together in the past on any.
No, we talked about it for a while, but we hadn't sort of gotten together and done anything. And until I guess, I don't know, all of a sudden all the stars had aligned, and Rog asked if I would help him shoot a scene for his acting show reel. A lot of actors, when they are missing certain pieces of work from their reel. I mean, Roger worked professionally in TV and film for a few years, and he'd done Fool's Gold, and he was in Superman Returns, and he'd done episodic TV here in Australia, but he still didn't have his Oscar clip, if you like.
Well, all those scenes were sort of bits and pieces, and there was nothing with any kind of meat, so to speak. And
well, it's sort of no sort of strong, dramatic kind of thing, because you'd played these heavies and those type of guys, and
the very cliche, stereotypical kind of one-liners sort of thing.
No, but I mean, you'd done some stuff, but you needed that. You needed that, what I call an Oscar clip. You needed that dramatic piece to really sort of show your ability. And so I asked Rog what he had in mind, and you wanted to do a scene from Saving Private Ryan.
Well, that was initially the idea was to pick a scene from a movie, and Saving Private Ryan was would have been a perfect piece in my mind at that time, because we wanted something with an American accent.
Had to be an American accent.
And a military piece had always seemed lucrative to me, and I know to you as well. We'd always wanted, I had always watched those kind of World War II epic films, and have always wanted to do something around that era and that kind of topic. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and so Saving Private Ryan seemed the way to go. There was a great scene with Matt Damon towards the end, where he has a kind of reminisces about how he got to where he was. And what did you weren't too fond of that idea?
Well, no, it's only because I'd done some show reel scenes before too. I'd done some for myself for some of my acting work. And it's tough when you're doing show reel scenes, because if you're doing a scene that's already been done, like in a movie, you've got to try and top it. You know what I mean? And when agents watch it, or if your friends watch it or whatever, and they recognize the movie, it's just sort of hard for them to believe you sort of in that role, because it's already established, it's done, somebody else owns that. So it seemed sort of more logical to just kind of write your own scene, but certainly it could be inspired by a piece, a real piece. And so I said to Roger, why don't we write something together, and we could make it World War II if you want.
I'm very glad you did.
That's right. And then I was like, oh God, what have I got myself into now? How am I going to do this? And so I called a colleague of mine, David Sander, who's a filmmaker. He's also a visual effects artist, and he'd done the visual effects on my film Cosmonaut. He'd created Mars and things like that. So I'm like, well, if he can do Mars, he can do World War II. Should be able to. And I called him, and Dave's also part of the reenactment community in Sydney. He specializes in Anglo-Saxon Dark Age type of stuff, but he has friends and colleagues who do other periods of war, from Napoleonic to American Civil War to World War II and all that kind of stuff. So I called Dave and said, hey Dave, you reckon you could get a couple of World War II American soldier outfits? And if you could, how much would it be? And he got back to me with a figure, and I passed that on to Rog, and I said, what do you think? And it's, it was totally doable. I think we got 2 US Army 101st Airborne kit for $250.
Something like that.
To borrow it for the weekend, which is a steal. And that was, I think the boots were separate. The boots were $40 or something like that. But we could get the kit. So that was good. It's like, okay, great, we can get kit. Now
We needed a location.
you need a location, and what happens? You know, we can't exactly do a battle scene or anything. We can't do Normandy,
Omaha Beach.
yeah, Omaha Beach, or you know, something like that. So we knew that we would have to keep it tight, and that it would have to revolve around two characters talking, basically.
And that sort of suits what we wanted anyway, because we didn't want a big action piece with a lot of things happening. It was more the two characters, because it was for an acting kind of piece. We wanted the story and the dialogue to be the focus point, not so much the scenery and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Not to take away from what David did, especially, which set it up beautifully with his digital work. Yeah,
he really created it, and so Roger and I went into, okay, where is it going to be set, and we toyed around with a couple of ideas, but I think we had always wanted to do post D-Day, something around the 1944 thing, just after the landing, and I think at one point we were toying with having them being the paratroopers who were there in the night, who dropped in the night before the landing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe about them. And then I was talking to Dave Sander, and I think it was he mentioned Belgium. And I was like, Belgium, okay, cool, and that sounded good. And I said, you know, the setting, I kind of like the idea of a, I think they were just going to be in a field somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Dave said, what about, like, you know, something, I think he mentioned a church or something, was it?
I think that was Dave's idea.
I think that was Dave's idea. Obviously, we weren't going to shoot inside a real church, but he suggested, what about a churchyard? And I said, you don't mind doing the effects for that? And I said, what about tombstones and stuff like that? And he was like, oh, no, that'll be okay. We could do a matte painting and stuff. And I said, okay. And then Roger and I got working on the characters and the dialogue. So obviously, you go to basics. Roger's the main character. He's got to be going through some kind of conflict. He's having some kind of problem. And we talked about what could he be going through. He's going through some kind of crisis. I think it came to us pretty naturally. We sort of said, oh, he's worried he's going to die the next day. Which
is, would have been commonplace for that kind of situation. We tried to get it in sort of 3 sections, 3 acts kind of thing. So we wanted the character.
So it was a journey.
A journey, even though it was such a short film, 11 or so minutes it was.
It ended up 11 minutes.
Yeah. But in that time, we wanted to establish the characters and progress, and then have some kind of resolution at the end, which is what we managed to do. So we used that kind of premise when we started writing, and
it was good we did that, because the we could have just written a scene that was just dialogue for like a 30-second clip, but we didn't. We wrote an actual story. A short story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, which was which is really great, which is what it should be, I think.
And it worked out perfectly for us.
It just worked out.
Yeah. It took a couple of weeks of rewriting.
Yeah, I think we had something solid in like a week.
Yeah.
Oh, we had like the base in a week.
We had the proper story within that time.
Yeah.
So we just bounced off each other via email and via Skype, and Dave came over a couple of times, and we nailed it out pretty quickly. How did we come up with that kind of story?
I think we just it just kind of came together. Like I said, I remember I said the guy's got to be going through a crisis, and he's worried that his luck's going to run out, because like in war you don't know when you're going to get hit by that fatal bullet.
Yeah.
It's so we talked about him going through that kind of a problem, and
the whole faith aspect was a strong theme in Sacrament, and sort of played well with the church.
It went down very well with the church. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And we had to have another character in there, and who obviously was going to come along and help Roger's character in some way, and give him a little pep talk and try and comfort him. Which sounds kind of corny, sounds kind of lame, but when we wrote it and we did it, it actually kind of came off nice. I played the other character, although I tried to convince Roger to get somebody else to play the role.
You had a bit of nerves towards the end.
A crisis of faith.
That's right.
So in reality, he restored my faith. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I tried to convince him to get somebody else to play that role, but he said no, I want to do it with you, and I said okay, I'll do my best. And we had to do American accents, and Rog did, I guess, the standard American type of accent.
Standard American, and Dave did a Southern.
I tried my hand at a Southern accent, which is sort of I was trying to do like a Louisiana type of thing.
But it came off really well.
Oh, yeah, you
don't give yourself credit.
I missed a couple of things, but yeah, it was okay. And then we had the church, and then we had he told a story about his girlfriend and all that kind of stuff. And when we wrote it, when we'd finished it, I gave it to Dave Sander because I thought he might like to direct it. Because if I'm going to ask him to do effects,
yeah,
I was like, I was quite happy to let him direct it, and gave him the script, and he liked it. He really liked it. He had a little bit of input too. In fact, it was Dave who came up with the title Sacrament.
That's right.
The working title was First Light.
That's right.
You came up with that.
Yeah.
But I think the First Light thing came because they were going to be going back into the battle at first light.
That's right, because it's set just before the dawn.
That's it.
Can't sleep.
That's right. Yeah. And it was going to be like above title building Roger Siberius. First Light. And so Dave said, I think we should call it Sacrament. And that reminds me that I don't know why, but I wanted to work in a bottle of wine into the story. Like, I like the idea of that they were in a church or somewhere, and then this soldier goes, hey, look what I got. And he's got like a bottle of wine, and they decide to have a little drink before the thing, and then it turned into a little religious thing.
Or you threw the bread in there. We hadn't...
Bread, yeah.
Didn't have that idea,
Wanted
but
to break bread.
I think that we did that on the night. So we came up with that idea to break the bread.
Yeah, I think we talked about the wine first.
Yeah.
And something I know I wanted to have that in the beginning. I think we came up with the bread at some point too. That idea of breaking of bread,
which became the focal point of the end of the film. The symbol of the faith and everything that he was going through, and then the wine, which proved to be a good addition and quite comical with one little section.
Nice. Yeah, that was good.
One-off take.
For one-off take, and when we'd finished it, Dave did a little treatment on it. Well, he just pointed out, saying, hey, look, can we trim this, trim that? And he came up with the title Sacrament, which was good. And I sort of left the production in his capable hands because he has very, capable hands. And he organized it, and we shot it in his backyard.
In one night.
In one night. In a total of, I think it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we'd gotten together beforehand and rehearsed, obviously. We did one rehearsal, I remember, at Dave's place. We went round to his house.
Yep.
And so he could see us perform, and then he put some input in. And from then, it was just some Skype rehearsals, and I came round to your place once.
Yeah, we did one rehearsal at mine, and then we just went for it, which was good. We didn't want to over-rehearse.
Yeah.
And have predictable reactions and that kind of thing. So I think that worked to our benefit in the end.
That's right. I mean, we'd been doing classes together for years, so we could learn lines quick, and we could bounce off each other.
And we knew each other's ins and outs and that kind of thing in terms of acting. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And that's then we rocked up on. When did we shoot it? So August. We shot it in September, or was it?
I think it was September. It was a Friday night. I remember that.
Yeah, it was a Friday night, and it was literally. And this was the cool thing. It was like, it almost felt like we weren't doing a movie. It's like we were just hanging out with friends, which was nice because we came around to Dave's place, and we walked in, and it was a very small crew. It was Dave and one of his friends, Graham, who's in the reenactment community, and Graham's kids were there. He had 2 teenage kids, and when we walked in, all our gear was like in the lounge room, ready for us.
Yeah.
And David called in a couple of favors because he had some people owed him some favors. He got a makeup lady, Nicole, who owed him a favor, came in and dirtied us all up and used a nice alcohol base of some kind of thing. It made us look nice and muddy and sooty.
Really muddy. And I thought it was going to be a bit, I was worried it was going to be too much because
you want to see his face.
Yeah. But, and the shots that we saw afterwards, even the stills just looked perfect.
Looked really
good. They all
did
a fantastic job. I was very impressed.
That's it. The kids muddied us up.
Yeah.
They had buckets of mud and applied that, and then we were just we were into it. David gotten some ammo crates left over from another little war film he did. Set those up, and we had Graham and his son Sam, and we put them in army pants.
Yeah, and had them filling up the space in front of camera, walking back and forth. You know, just to give it that authenticity of people were around.
You got the sense that there's a whole company there.
Yeah,
which is what we wanted. But of course, it was just two guys walking back and forth, and I think I walked back and forth a couple of times. But with sound effects and everything, it's totally believable. And then we just we went for it, and we didn't have any hiccups at all. No hiccups. It was the smoothest, maybe the smoothest shoot we've been on.
I think it was. It was much smoother than any class scenes we've done before.
Yeah, that's it.
For sure.
And I've made films, and it was the smoothest shoot I've ever been involved in. And I was acting in this one, but I was just impressed with how. And the key, I think, to that is skeleton crew, small crew. Everyone's doing something.
Yeah.
You don't have any loiterers or anything like that. Everyone just had their job, knew what to do, and it was just so relaxed, and we had a laugh.
Yeah.
And
it made us feel very comfortable, and that obviously plays to the benefit of the film in the end. When we're relaxed, especially because, for both of us, I was nervous because it was important to do well, and I know you were nervous, especially about your accent and just in general. I
was.
I
didn't want to screw it up for you.
Well, you didn't, and it all worked out very well in the end.
It did. It did, and Rog did some great stuff in there, and very, very smooth. And in 4 hours we were done, and very simple setups. And credit to Dave. We just had the one camera.
Yeah.
And we just, broke it down, simple angles, but, just the right angles we needed. And then after shooting, he was already, I remember when we were wrapping up, he was already loading it into the computer.
Yeah.
We were already, seeing...
He'd already done the poster.
Yeah, he'd practically already done the poster. And he'd already, was grading some shots and stuff like that. And, I knew, I'd worked with Dave before on Cosmonaut, and he does beautiful work. And I knew he could make it look super schmick. So I knew it would look good. What I was worried is, can we pull it off as actors? Especially me. I was going, can I pull this off, or am I going to look like an idiot? So I knew it would look good. And then when we came around to Dave's place and had a look, Rog was very happy.
Yeah.
As I knew he would be. And that's how we shot it.